Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Net Producer Magazine, reporting to you here today from the World Ag Expo. I'm here at Rabobank's booth. This is Roland Fumasi. He leads their food and agribusiness team at RaboResearch. Almonds is a big commodity that you work with, and we've met like this before. I wanted to catch up and see, it's a new year. We've got a new president, and for good or for bad, there's some things that are changing, especially in the exports, and that's something that's really of high concern, I think, for our almond growers that got hit really hard, not only with the pandemic, but the impacts of tariffs. Because, in the almond industry, California, we export so much of our crop. And so I wanted to talk with you about, what we kind of anticipate in the near future, how this might impact our almond growers that are just now starting to get back on their feet after some really low prices.
No, that's exactly right. Almond profitability is finally back in the 2024-25 marketing year, and we want to do whatever we can to protect that profitability. And as you said, the first time around when we got into the trade wars, almonds were one of the crops that were hit the hardest. So there's a lot of risk out there right now. And I think, the obvious one is the potential for retaliatory tariffs. Right. Remember the first time around, we had not only the retaliatory tariffs from China, but India, Turkey, right? All important markets. Granted, everything's changing every day, so we'll see how all this plays out. But the retaliatory tariffs are really just one of the risks that's looming. When you look at a lot of the policies that are taking place right now, or the policy changes, at Rabobank, we think those are going to be inflationary. Right? They're going to make inflation stickier, which means that interest rates are going to stay higher for longer, which means the dollar is going to stay stronger. So not only do we have the potential for retaliatory tariffs, you have a stronger dollar, which also puts downward pressure on our export potential. Then you layer on that the potential for inflationary pressure on the farm input side, the cost of production, right, with some of these import tariffs, and there's really... We're a bit nervous about those things. Granted, we don't know how the details are going to play out, and there's two probably saving graces to all this. One is that we're convinced that we're taking the administration at their word, that they're very interested in supporting production agriculture in the United States. That's one. Secondly, remember the first time around that President Trump was able to use some of our leverage, what we call statecraft, to get some things done. And ultimately, some of these countries, like China, ended up buying a lot more of our goods there toward the end of his term and the beginning of the Biden term. So there's some potential positives out there, but a lot of risks.
Yes, this isn't our first rodeo. We've been through this before. And you're right. You bring up some great points that, yes, the strength of the American dollar does have an impact on our exports. So, yeah, I guess a lot of concerns and a lot of question marks. But as far as the economics and of almond prices, at least in the near future, do you see things at least being decent?
We do. So our baseline, as things stand today, we really think over the next 4 to 5 years that almond prices should stay to the grower somewhere in that $225 to $250 a pound range, right? Okay, so that's good news. If we start to get a trade war escalation, if we start to see things that really start to strengthen the dollar even more so than it has been in the last couple of years, then you kind of take that range down to the $2 to $225 a pound range, right? So big difference. So that's the kind of price risk in some of these things that we see.
Well, it sounds like we need to get more folks in the States eating California almonds, huh?
Absolutely, and we can keep domestic demand and global demand rocking and rolling. That's the key that keeps things held together.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. Read more about these things in Pacific Net Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.